Now that we're in these moments, we need to know how to converse. This is the operating model that I promised you that's not in the book. To be more successful in any conversation, to be more influential in any conversation, we only need 3 ingredients, just 3 ingredients. You've probably heard these 3 ingredients before, and this doesn't matter whether you're looking to be able to win on board a new client, whether what you're looking to be able to do is to help a team leader to be able to step up. It doesn't matter whether what you're looking at being able to do is to finally get your spouse in your life to decide what they want for dinner. Any of these complex conversations could all be amplified with these 3 ingredients. We're talking about curiosity, empathy, and courage. You've heard these words before? Yeah. Nothing new about these words? No. But why specifically these 3 words in this specific order? Let's start here. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation with somebody who has that strong, I know best mentality? They're so sure of themselves, they're so certain of their point of view, that the more sure they are about themselves, the less sure you become in them. It's kind of ironic, right? That high levels of certainty create high levels of uncertainty. They're so sure of themselves, you're like, really now, huh? It makes you want to find a hole in their argument. By alternative, if you're looking to win in a conversation, the starting point should always be curiosity. Why? Because curiosity earns you context. Now, there isn't a conversation in the world where you're looking to change somebody's mind that you're not looking to put in content. Content of why you're a better solution, content about why your idea is going to change their world, content about what you would like to be able to happen that they're not currently thinking about. But if you're looking to insert your content before you've earned their context, you just made a noisy situation noisier. Slow the process down, earn the other person's context, we're starting to be able to understand their world. So if you try to sell somebody a solution, they'll often say that's not the problem. But if you can show somebody you understand the problem, they'll trust you with the solution. Context is our tool to get you there. I'm going to try to make this remarkably easy for you. Who in this room has ever found themselves giving advice that they weren't asked for? Many of us in this room are very good at unleashing the advice monster. It shows up in times in our life, and then particularly as leaders and entrepreneurs, is we're so often in the advice-giving role that it shows up in many areas of our life, even when not invited. So what happens is you find yourself in moments where people come to you for advice. There was a scenario in my life over the holiday season where my 17-year-old daughter came to me for advice. At least that's what I thought she came to me for. And then I found myself launching into advice monster mode. And these are the words that left my mouth. It still frightens me to think I even said this and probably shouldn't own up to it in public, but here we are. What I said was, when I was in your shoes. And then I looked down at my 17-year-old daughter's feet, and I realized that never in a life have I worn footwear that resembles that. And I very quickly realized that I had approximately 0 expertise in the scenario that she was currently puzzled by. None whatsoever. I was uniquely unqualified to advise on this matter. So what did I do instead? I gave 0 advice. I took a short period of time, like around 28 minutes. And all I did is I asked her curious questions about her circumstances. And at the end of 28 minutes, here she said, I think I know what I'm going to do, Dad. What she chose to do was about the same as what I would have advised her to do. But she got there all by herself. I'm going to throw a challenge to all of you. Could you live an entire day of your life delivering approximately 0 advice? An entire day of your life. Doesn't mean that people don't receive advice, it just means you don't jump straight to it. I was at a conference last week, big group of accountants that were there. There were 12 vendors that were there that all ran SaaS companies that were delivering solutions to the accounting profession. I spoke to all of them. Do you know what they all told me they do? The exact same fucking thing. I could have swapped out all the logos and all of their marketing materials were saying the exact same thing. I had 15-minute conversations with every one of the vendors. I still don't know exactly what they really do. And I deeply understand the people they were trying to help. And I deeply understand the problems that they think that they're capable of solving. Still have no understanding as to why you would plug into any of these, because they didn't ask curious questions about the context that they could potentially help people in. They jump straight into features and benefits. Jump straight into the my dad's better than your dad argument and expect us to be able to believe it. Anyone try to win the my dad's better than your dad argument? It's tough, right? There's strong bias often on one side or the other, and the only time you win it is when the other dad's a loser, right? That's the only time that you win it is when the other dad isn't performing. Curiosity is a superpower. Earns you context. When you're curious for long enough, it dances us towards this position of empathy. Empathy is like a buzzword right now. Very few people understand what it really means. Best definition I've ever heard for the word empathy comes from an author friend of mine by the name of John Acuff. And John Acuff defines empathy as this: as to care about what the people you care about care about. I can't do better than that, so I'm borrowing John's. Who is the most important person in your life? If you're in any doubt, remember the high school photo? 300 faces wide. What was the only face you looked for? So if you are the most important person in your life, who is the most important person in your team member's life, in your prospect's life, in your customer's life? This is hard though, because we are hardwired with fight or flight to care about ourselves more than anyone else. I said this in a small room of around 5,000 people recently, that you are the most important person in your life, and this woman got hella mad. She was so pissed. She stood up in the room of 5,000 people. She stopped me mid-presentation, and here's what she said. She said, "I am not the most important person in my life." She went real mad. Here's what she then said. She said, "My children are the most important people in my life." She meant it. So I whispered back to her in front of 4,999 people, trying helping the girl out. I whispered back to her, "That's because they're yours." And she sheepishly just picked her notebook back up, and it was quite a fun moment. But we're all the most important people in our own lives. Can't change that. Which means that if you're looking to change, it has to be a conscious switch. You have to actually activate the fact that there is somebody else I care about more than anybody else in the world. This is what that lady done, right? Is she said, I'm going to make a conscious decision that I'm going to over-index my care on my children because I've decided that I'd be happy to sacrifice self in place of them. Rarely would it actually deliver as true. However, there was a belief that it was true. This means that there are times that you have to believe that your customer's needs is bigger than yours. You have to believe that your team members' needs are bigger than yours. And this is because our goal is be relatable. I'm going to let you into a real big secret. Nobody wants what you're selling. Approximately 0 people are interested in buying what you're selling. Also, I'm pretty darn sure that nobody wants to do what you're asking them to do for a job. Not one person. Some of it, maybe, but not all of it. I do a lot of work in the real estate industry. One of the things I share with agents and team leads and even big brokerages is to remind them that nobody wants to buy a house. Also that nobody wants to sell a house, and they get mad at this as well. I said they want to buy a house because. They want to sell a house because. If you don't know what the because is, you're very, very replaceable. The thing that makes you unique at what you do is your deep understanding of the other person's because. See, what selling is the right to make a recommendation. Earning the right to make a recommendation. Put simply, that means you should never, ever, 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 ever invite somebody to take an action unless you can say these words first. And the words I'd invite you to say first are the words because of the fact that you said. Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, for those reasons, I'd recommend blank, blank, and blank. See how much more persuasive you are if you can do that? That's an insanely simple framework to think about in theory. It's a touch more challenging to think about in practice because you have to collect the blanks. In the medical industry, they say prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Same is true in your business. You watch what happens with the conversion rates in every area of influence that you're looking to create. If you can say, because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, for those reasons, I'd recommend blank, blank, and blank. How do we collect the blanks? Strategically curious questions that allow people to give you the evidence you need to make the recommendations that show the other person that it's worth it. That's what makes you empathetic. I'm going to share with you another quick thing. This is one of the easiest things to implement. Would you like to know the least influential word on the planet that you are often reaching for right now that could be costing you a fortune? The least influential word on the planet is the word I. How many times do you or your team show up saying that I was just circling back and I was hoping and what I believe and what I think and we got to remove the word just as well. You know the word just is an abbreviation for the word justify. We're using it to force permission. Hey, I just wanted you to... Ever used it as an excuse yourself when you're trying to get out of the house and you're running late? I just got to send this email. I just got to send this text. I just got to read this. We're forcing permission with the word just. Remove the word just. Remove the word checking in. Stop touching people's bases. These are self-sabotaging sequences of words. Yet the bigger impact is to swap your I's for U's. Many of you have this same puzzle in your copy. You write self-loving copy on your website. You write things like, we pride ourselves on our service. And that you do you? When? When do you have these pride sessions? These Thursdays at 2? Which customer cares that you pride yourself? Lazy language, right? See, it's either helping or hurting. There is lots that we are hurting ourselves with. People think they should remove the word I and they swap it for the word we and they build all this self-loving language. They overuse the word we and then they we all over their customers. Most folks aren't going to like that. Not really into that. Big difference between saying, though, what we offer and what you get. Isn't there a big difference just between those two things? See, what we offer is future conditional tense. What you get when you choose to work with, that's active present tense. That also results in the other person seeing themselves activating the solution that you're providing for them. Can you see how micro changes to language with a more empathetic viewpoint that swap your I's for U's can increase conversion rate? It's that easy and it's that hard. Go back to just some of your most frequently recurring marketing communications and see if you can remove some of the self-sabotaging language. See if what you can do is to make it about them. See if what you can do is to swap as many I's and we's for U's without overusing the word you. Could you try that? Does anybody have somebody in their life that could reach out and ask you to do something this weekend that before they've got to the end of the ask, phone call, text message, whatever it might be, before they've even got to the end of the ask, you're ready to say, heck yes, I've got you? You have people in your life like that? Do you have other people in your life that could make the exact same ask? If that person made the exact same ask, you'd be like, me? This weekend? Really? And you'd have a little pushback and a little friction. You wouldn't be quite so decisively jumping in with an all-in yes. Why are there some people in our life that we are ready to say heck yes to straight away, and there are other people in our life that we are firmly on our maybes? What's the difference between the people you say heck yes to and the people you say hell maybe? What's the difference? Okay. There's a difference in connection. They think best for us. There's a difference in the relationship. And what exists at high levels in the relationship that you say heck yes to? High levels of trust. How important is trust in the success of your business as a leader? How important is trust in your business when it comes to them choosing your product over somebody else's? We know it's so important. So what we say is we say things like, you can trust me. When you tell somebody they can trust you, does that increase or decrease trust? Decreases. We care so much about how much people should trust us. We tell them they should trust us, which is why we say lazy things like, just to be honest with you for a second. Like I've been lying to you for the rest of my life. But in this one moment, I'm going to tell you the truth. You reduce trust when you invite people to trust you.